Hey, what's up everybody? Time for another game theory video. If you like the videos, like, sub, silly comment, share, support the channel if you can. I appreciate it. Super chat, PayPal, super like the video, whatever. If you want to help the channel, I appreciate it. Thank you. Today we're going to talk about something I've talked about before, but I'm a broken record here. I'm a broken record here on the FGC on NBC, but it does relate to the 2X KO a little bit, right? And that is, I've said this before, right? That although I am not a big fan of tag team games give you the opportunity to actually do something new in a fighting game, which is hard, right? At this point in our lives, or let's say this point in how long the fighting games have been around, to legitimately do something new, to put a new perspective on fighting games is a difficult thing, right? And of course, we're talking shit about 2XKO. It's a tag team game that you see they still don't know the direction it's going in, apparently, constantly going back and forth, right? Even though they have the greatest minds in the history of fighting games making it, supposedly, right? But I'm going to show you two examples of something I would do in a tag team game that just goes to show I don't need 10 years of millions of dollars of money. I don't need a whole team to produce actual new ideas. And I'm going to show you what I've talked about before if you've been watching this channel. Two brand new perspectives that you can actually put on a fighting game. And they're two examples that I've talked about of some of the stuff I would change in Dragon Ball FighterZ, right? And it's just to go show for a tag team game, which 2XKO is, right? So let's an example like this, right? Let's say we're going to use these two characters, Raditz and Majin Vegeta's final explosion move. How can we add a new meta that has never been in a fighting game ever before that can put a new perspective on a fighting game with these two characters, right? Well, if we think about Raditz, right, let's think about the lore of the character, right? And let's just think about what is one of the things that Dragon Ball FighterZ has, right? Dragon Ball FighterZ has this thing, the vanish attack, right? You can vanish in neutral, and it's very important for combos, right? You know, you vanish at the end of the combo, or you vanish off of a random conversion, and it bounces the guy off the wall, right? You get your combo extender, right? Well, what is something when we think about Raditz just right there? Raditz, and he even has a thing like this in one of those 3D games or something like that, right? And if you even think about this, let's remember that there are moves even in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Android, I don't know if is he 16 and she's 17, or he's 17 and she's 16. I forget, but even the Android has this thing where if somebody calls an assist, right? You know, this automatically triggers him to go shoot down this laser beam, right? So let's sort of think about that idea with old Raditz right here, right? Let's combine these synergistically. So let's say Raditz has a move where maybe he taps his scouter, just like the anime or whatever like that. Maybe A does something where if you tap the scouter, right? Now, whenever the opponent vanishes, something like that, guess what? Raditz goes for a vanish, or this guy goes for a vanish, boom. He automatically counters the vanish or something like that. Maybe if you were to press the other button with a scouter move or something like that, well, just like the Android has this thing where if someone calls an assist, guess what? He pops up behind the guy and he kicks him in the back, right? Maybe it could take an EX bar, whatever you balance it, right? However you want to balance it, right? And guess what? We've just respected the lore of the character and we've added a totally new meta on the game because vanishing is so important. And it's a tag team game where you like tag in your opponent. And now you have a character where like, wait a second. He's inputted this move. Maybe it costs him a bar, whatever it might be, something like this. He's boop, boop, tapped his scouter, something like that, right? Now I can't vanish during my combo. Even though all the other characters in the game, I can vanish because Raditz has this property. He can change the meta when you're versing him. You can't vanish versus him. You can't vanish to extend your combo. You can't vanish to extend your conversion because if Raditz has this move stocked, he automatically, just like the anime, boom, he then kicks the guy back when the guy teleports behind him. Just like we could do something with the double Sunday, right? Where he shoots a laser beam at two different characters. Maybe this is Raditz's super move or something like that. Or maybe he has a super scouter move or something like that. So just like the Android 16 or 17, I forget which is which. Sorry, I'm a nerd, but I forget which is which, right? I'm a Vegeta guy, not an Android guy. But whatever the case, just like the Android, if somebody calls the assist, right, he automatically does this move. So maybe for a super or something, whenever the opponent automatically calls an assist or something like that, Raditz automatically teleports behind him. He does his pink laser beam. Maybe he has a level 3 laser beam where maybe it's the weakest super in the game. It's the weakest level 3 in the game. Maybe it only does 30% life, right? Only does 30% life even though it's level 3. But guess what? He only does 30% life to the character on screen. And he shoots another laser beam. He shows him shooting it off screen, whatever like that. And it does, let's say, 20% blue life to any tag team person that's in the background. It can't kill them, but it depletes their energy on the backside. Do you see, like, just this is something that would never exist, and this can't exist in anything but a tag team game. You can make Raditz the weakest character in the game. Raw damage wise, Raditz is the weakest character. He has the weakest special moves, whatever, something like that. Weakest strength, whatever. Maybe he has horrible priority, I'll say, on his moves, something like that. But guess what? Raditz is a character that you have to play a little bit differently because some of these mechanics in the game don't work versus him. If he is stocked, maybe it's an EX bar, he taps the scout or something like that, you're like, oh fuck, well now I can't, I got to remember that I can never vanish during this combo now because he has it stocked. Or oh fuck, now I have to fight him one-on-one because guess what? He's stocked it with a super. Now he can shoot this double pink laser beam at me, right? I have to play him differently. This is what I talk about when I talk about how tag team games actually give you an example or an opportunity, I should say, to put a new spin on fighting games that is not possible in any other kind of fighting game, like a one-on-one game, right? And you think about a game like Dragon Ball FighterZ, where so many characters are sadly kind of homogenized and pretty samey, right? So now we could have a character that is, let's say, perhaps still pretty samey, quotation marks, but they have a couple of special moves that totally mean you have to play them differently. That's an opportunity. That's a drop ball. I don't know if there's anyone in League of Legends that has a lure of, they attack somebody's teammates, but that's an opportunity to do something, right? Just like if we're looking at this dude, Majin Vegeta, what is something I would say for the final explosion? How would I do the final explosion in a game that puts a new meta on fighting games, a new perspective that is not possible in a single player game, right? Let's say we have this final explosion move, right? Let's say we, just to show the super bar here for sake of argument, let's say it's a level 5 super. There are some level 5 supers, right? Let's say this is a level 5 super, but it has a long startup because Vegeta, he starts spouting his rhetoric. He starts spouting, talking like, oh, sayonara, Bulma, Kakarot, or sayonara, Bulma, Trunks, Soshite, Kakaroto, right? I think that's what he says, right? So he talks for a few seconds, he charges up, and then he explodes. But guess what, right? This explosion is unblockable. It's full screen. There's nothing you can do. You have to, quotation marks until I get into the caveat, you have to eat it. It's a level 5. It does 50%. Even on block, it's full screen. But guess what? Because it has this long, spiel that he does before it, guess what? Let's think about how Dragon Ball FighterZ works, right? This could only potentially, he could only potentially even get through this walking animation with Dragon Ball FighterZ. We have the large knockdown, right? Or the hard knockdown, right? Also, the one caveat I would say, make him invincible to every move in the game, besides if the other character does a level 3. If the other character has a level 3, it can beat him, right? So here we have a situation if Vegeta is about to do the final explosion and he hasn't done a hard knockdown, guess what? Because it has such a large spiel that he talks about, you now give the opponent an opportunity. Oh, fuck, I can't hit him with anything. But now here's one of the few opportunities in the game that it's actually worth it for me to start charging. And let's say that while he talks, you can actually charge a bar and a half or something like that. You can charge a little bit of a bar to then waste your level 3 to hit him out of the charge. But everything else he's invincible to. But where we really get into like more of the meta, Let's say that Vegeta did this final explosion where he knocked the guy down, right? Now it's a knockdown. And it's going to activate right when the guy stands up, right? So now you're in a situation, right? You're like, oh, fuck. Do I waste the 50% from my guy that is tagged in? Or my character that's already in? Or do I press the tag button and tag this guy in to take the hit for me, 50%? Now remember, this kills Vegeta no matter what. Even if Vegeta has 100% life. Even if Vegeta has 100% life, he automatically is going to die with this thing, right? But this also means that let's say Vegeta only has 1% life, right? But he has a level 5. He has a level 5 and he sees your character and he's like, you know what? You don't have a lot of super meter or something like that. I'm going to make you either you have to waste your meter to knock me out of this, or you have to sacrifice one of your characters has to take at least 50% from me because you can't block it. There's nothing you can do. But the charge up time is so long, it actually allows you to decide what to do. Do I have a little bit of super? Can I charge up my super? Something you barely ever see in the game. Am I close enough to a level 3 that I want to charge up my super, waste a level 3? What if I'm wasting a level 3 when Vegeta only has 1% life left? Is that good though? Because technically I got to take 50% if I don't. You see, you're already thinking. Don't think about it. Now you're thinking. You know that phrase? Don't think. Now you're thinking. Do you see how this adds a new meta that is not possible in any other kind of fighting game unless it's a tag team game? And it actually works with the system because it gives an opportunity that you might see a character randomly charge because, hey, I can charge up a super, gives me a little bit of opportunity. Or it gives me an opportunity to be like, oh shit, this is a mind game again. It's not possible anything else because you're like, shit, Vegeta, he only has 1% life left, right? And you're like, oh shit, what am I going to do? And you're like, oh fuck. And you start thinking, well, fuck, should I sacrifice this tag character? Should I sacrifice this tag character? Because no matter what, someone has to take 50%. You can't block it. You can't do anything unless you waste a level 3 to knock me out of it. Because my character is just invincible to everything. Like put in some kind of property. Just like how when you do a beam battle, level 1 supers always clash, but a level 3 always beats the level 1. Same for this. Doesn't matter if you super him or anything. When he's doing this, nothing can beat him. Only a level 3 can actually get through this fire that's all around him before he explodes. Boom. Never been done in fighting games before. Brand new perspective, brand new meta. And guess what? That's why I talk about 2XKO is a drop ball too, because how are you going to have the greatest minds in the history of the fighting game community? And you know, when I see people talk about the game, and even when they talk about the game, yeah, I don't know what's fun about the game. Yeah, Riot has millions of dollars. We have the greatest people ever making the game. 10 years. Well, I mean, it's only been 8 years. Only 5 years or 6 years or 7 years if you count once we called it, you know, League of Legends, but it was the robot game before. But if you count the robot game before, yeah, I guess it's been maybe 9 years. Yeah, every beta test we're changing the game because we don't know it's fun. Oh yeah, but don't worry, it's the, you know, greatest minds ever in the history of fighting games. Yeah, we're so enthusiastic, you know, millions of dollars. Oh my God, we're so smart. So many. Yeah, we don't have any new brand ideas. We just kind of take everything from every other game and hope that it works, blah, blah. You see what I'm talking about? This is a tag team of all these supposed great guys, millions and millions of dollars. What's new about the goddamn game? All they do is they find, oh, this was in a game. What if we put it in our game? Oh, this was in a game. What if we put it in our game? Guess what? Me, in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever, you know, 5 minutes to think of it or something like that. Guess what? Brand new perspective, never done in a fighting game. And it can only be possible in a tag team game. And that's why I say, Jesus Christ, dude, not only, it's not even a one-on-one game anymore, it's a tag team game where it's actually easier to come up with brand new ideas because no matter how crazy one character is, you can give them a weakness. You can have these extreme strengths and weaknesses because there's always somebody to compensate for it. Just like you can have extreme, wacky sort of moves, meta, because there's always something else to compensate for it. Guess what? What I just told about Raditz doesn't make any sense. Why would you put a character in that's so completely weak? He's the weakest character in the game. You mean you're purposely making this character have the weakest special moves in the game? He does the weakest amount of damage. He has the worst priority in the game. But guess what? He's the one character that can attack people that aren't even on the screen. You can't just use assist while you're fighting him. You can't use the normal mechanics. He requires a different mindset to play verse. So he's not just a Dan quotation marks character that's weak. He's a weak character that has his own meta. He's weak, but special. Amazing. Remember, if you like the videos, like, sub, silly comment, share, support the channel. If you can, I appreciate it. Thanks. The end.